Hello everyone, hello YouTube, this is Felipe, o Gato de Salto, and today I'm here to talk to you about an amazing topic and start a tradition of series of videos that I'll be offering you in the next weeks, which will be about the Orixás individually, so you know exactly who we were talking about. And today our Orixá is Yamanja. Odoia Iemanjá, Odoia. So we start as usual by salutating our Orixá, and since we're talking about Iemanjá today, the salutation that we people, everyone should use for Iemanjá is Odoia. But before we even start talking about Yamanja, I would like to remind you of two very important things. First of all, I am not a religion expert. I am not an expert in Orixás, in Candomblé or Umbanda, and this video is only being made to convey some information to you about the Orixás. Information that is difficult to get, especially if you don't speak Portuguese. So this is the purpose of my video, as well as just showing you how and where the Orixá Iemanjá is present within Carnival and the Samba world. The other thing that I would like to tell you is that I have recently published two videos, one about Candomblé and one about Umbanda, and these are two Afro-Brazilian religions that adore the Orixás. So if you don't really understand what I'm talking about here, it's perhaps a good idea for you to go and check those two videos. I'll leave the link of those two videos down in the description box. And finally, before we really start talking about Yamanja, I would like to tell you why, not why I decided to do this video, but just to remind you that, Orixás and the Afro-Brazilian culture is everywhere to be seen and heard within Samba and the Samba world. So if you are a Sambista, especially an international Sambista, it makes sense for you to understand who I'm talking about. So I'm going to give you some knowledge based on the researches that I did, but also based on my personal experience as a Brazilian growing up in Brazil. Now let's remember that the Afro-Brazilian culture and religion, so the Afro deities, the Orixás, they were brought to Brazil together with the people who were kidnapped and enslaved and brought to Brazil. But also those people, especially from the Yoruba region, they were also taken to different countries. So you can actually be talking to a Cuban person who dances salsa instead of a Brazilian who dances samba and talk about Yamanja and get a positive response, because that person will probably also know Yamanja or any of the other Orixás. And finally, I would like to remind you that the Orixá is a god, is a goddess in this case, and we have to be very respectful. So I decided to start with Yamanja. Why Yamanja? Yamanja, I think, it's the most popular Orixá in Brazil. And I say that not only because she's really well loved within Candomblé and Umbanda, but just because the general public, I'm sorry if I say it this way, but like me, I'm not part of these religions and I did not grow up in the Samba milieu, but still the general public, everyone in Brazil, be them from a Protestant religion, Catholicism, or Jewish religion, or one of the Afro religions, they will definitely know Yamanja. Everyone knows she's the popular girl of the Orixás in Brazil. And she's one of the Iabás. Iabás. What are the Iabás? The Iabás are the female Orixás. So when you talk about Iabás in general, you talk about Yamanja, Oxum, Nana, Yansan, all of the female Orixás. And I have to say at this point, Mocidade Alegre, the Samba school from São Paulo, did a great job this past year of 2020 talking about the Iabás in their enredo. And it was beautiful, it was so gorgeous, and they had an amazing float dedicated to Yamanja. It was such a beautiful float with a beautiful sort of head kind of half fish, half human. And in front of that face, there was a fountain with I don't know how many liters of water, really splashing up. It was beautiful, with an amazing dancer, gorgeous dancer in that fountain, playing Yamanja, dancing like Yamanja. So it was a beautiful parade that I think is definitely worth seeing. So Mocidade Alegre 2020. O Canto das Iabás, singing from the Iabás. So as I already said, the salutation to Iemanjá is Odoia, Odoia Iemanjá. And this is what you're gonna hear a lot in many samba enredos, in many songs, or sometimes just in the context of Yamanja. And Yamanja is the goddess or the Orixá of the seas, the oceans, salty water. So she reigns over the coral reefs, the fish, everything that is in the sea, the waves. It's her kingdom. So whenever you enter the ocean, that's a great opportunity for you to say, whisper, or just mentalize Odoia Iemanjá. So you're basically saluting her and kind of, in a way, ask permission to enter her kingdom. Now, Iemanjá is depicted in many different ways in Brazil. I've seen white-skinned Iemanjás, I've seen dark-skinned Iemanjás, but basically they all sort of have the same. They wear a long blue dress. And so that already tells a lot about the colors of these orixás, which are blue and silver. So sometimes I've seen figures of that dress converting into the seawater or being part of a wave. Yamanja is a gorgeous orixá that many people like. Sometimes she's depicted carrying a mirror, but she always has sea elements with her. And I have to say, also in parades in different schools in Rio, I always see musas wearing a blue costume with sea elements and maybe carrying a mirror, and you can definitely say, okay, she's definitely representing Iemanjá. It's quite nice. And since we already talked about Umbanda in this channel, Iemanjá does have an equivalent in the Catholic Church. She's a saint called Our Lady of the Sailors, Nossa Senhora dos Navegantes. You probably already figured out, but many offerings to Iemanjá are done at the beach or in the sea, and in those offerings you also find her colors. So you'll see lots of blue, be it in candles or in fabric. You will see silver. So that's the kind of offering that people give Iemanjá sometimes. Also white flowers, as far as I know, venerated in 2 main days of the year. The first date that that comes to my mind when I think of Iemanjá is definitely December 31st. So yeah, New Year's Eve. Because the whole country, if they can, kind of go to the coastline of Brazil, to the beach, to celebrate New Year's Eve. And at midnight, the first thing you do is you watch the fireworks. If there are fireworks, you say Happy New Year to your friends, and your family, and then you go to the sea, into the sea, and jump the first 7 waves. Some people jump 9 that come in your direction. You just jump them. And I think this is so interesting to observe, especially if we keep the religious syncretism in our heads. Brazil is a very Catholic country, but everyone knows this tradition. It doesn't matter, regardless from their religion, they know this tradition. Everyone kind of does it or has done it at least once if they've ever been to the sea. And it's not uncommon also on December 31st to see people throwing white flowers in the sea. And those are most definitely an offering for Iemanjá that people do. And it's normal to see, especially in the next day, so January 1st. If you go for a walk on the beach, you will see white roses everywhere, white lilies everywhere. It's just how it is. Maybe Iemanjá didn't take the offer, she just returned them. And the second date that I can think of in which Iemanjá is venerated, adored, is I think the official date of Iemanjá, which is February 2nd. Now, I know that in Salvador, Bahia, a huge party happens to honor Yamanja. There's a huge procession and really a lot of people pay homage, adore, venerate the Orixá Iemanjá in Salvador and also throughout Brazil, everywhere in the coastline. This is what people do. I've personally never been to Bahia, to Salvador for that occasion, but I heard it's amazing. So if you ever have the chance to be in Salvador on February 2nd, I am sure you will have one of the most amazing spectacles of your life. You'll be able to watch so many interesting things, especially concerning this Afro-Brazilian religion. Another way people give offerings to Yamanja, especially on February 2nd, is they prepare little boats, sometimes made of wood, sometimes made of something else. They put an image of Yamanja, fill it with flowers and the foods that the saint, that the Yamanja Orixá usually receives as offerings, and send that into the sea. So you have a procession of boats also on February 2nd, paying homage, adoring, venerating Yamanja. It's definitely an Orixá that is very well loved in Brazil. Now, when we think about Iemanjá, Iemanjá has different traits. She's a very, very calm Orixá. Unless of course there's a storm coming, but she is basically responsible for the balance of the planet. Why do I say this? Our planet is made out of a lot of water. Our planet is basically a planet of water and earth, and she represents the balance of the planet, like water and earth. And so does she represent the balance within ourselves, within us humans, because our body is also mainly made out of water. So she also, has some influence in our bodies, in the balance that our lives have. She's a very emotional Orixá. She's very caring, very loving. So people usually go to her if they have problems in their families, in their homes, when it comes to unions and connections between different people. So a heartbreak. Yamanja is definitely the Orixá that can help you with that. Oshun as well. Oshun is also the Orixá of love. But Yamanja definitely has an open ear and a shoulder on which you can cry on. She's very, very cool. And of course, since she's the goddess of the sea, there's all this purification, cleansing aspects of Yamanja and the seas. And this I tell you as a Brazilian, growing up in Brazil, I remember my mom telling me to go into the sea and getting myself clean from this weight, the weight that you sometimes carry in your shoulders. We say nhaca in my family, like ugh. So when you go into the sea, you basically get cleansed, you remove that weight off your shoulders. And because of the salt water, and she's the goddess of the salt water, and salt in many religions have this purification, this protection, this kind of cleansing element to it. And water is revigoration. So revigoration and purification together, that's the sea water. So whenever you go into the sea next time, perhaps just give a little salutation, Odoya Yamanja, ask for permission to get into her kingdom and let yourself be cleansed and cleaned, also purified, your body and your soul. Now, within the Samba, Yamanja is very well present. There is one of my favorite enredos of all times, which is Império Serrano. I really love this song, and many people in Brazil know this song. It's a very popular enredo, one of the most popular, I think, in my opinion. It's from Império Serrano, 1976, and it was recorded or re-recorded in 2009. They presented this enredo again, and it's an enredo talking about the queens of the sea. And in their chorus, they evoke Yamanja with many, many different names. She has many different names. Ogunte marabukaya soba, Oloshun yena ijana Yamanja. Ogunte marabukaya soba, Oloshun yena ijana Yamanja. São rainhas do mar, they are queens of the sea. mar, misterioso mar. And people know this song. I absolutely love this song. I had the pleasure to dance to this song with the Samba school from Warsaw, Sereia de Varsovia, the Mermaid of Varsovia. So of course it makes sense. Mermaid of Warsaw, talking and singing about Yamanja. I also watched them perform this song in Coburg, the International Samba Festival of Coburg in Germany, one of the biggest samba festivals in the world outside of Brazil, I think the largest. Also, London School of Samba, one of my favorite schools in the whole of Europe and the whole of the world. I love LSS. They did in 2018 a parade in London during Notting Hill Carnival dedicated to Yamanja and the seas. And it was beautiful. I was a highlight. I played Oxalá, something else. But it had all these sea elements. The passistas were corals. We had an ala, which was like they were jellyfish. It was so beautiful. It was really nice to watch, to see a samba school venerating Iemanjá outside of Brazil. Well done, LSS. Mwah. Love you. Yamanja and the Orixás, they're always present in samba, in the music, in the lyrics. So if you are a samba dancer, you should be able to identify those, identify the salutation in the song, Orixá Iemanjá, and the different beats that goes towards Afro, like an Ishesha, and you should definitely be able to dance something that. And if you want to sort of illustrate, embody the spirit of the Orixá Iemanjá in your dance, you can always use very flowy, very slow, flowy arms, like maybe hula arms, or just as if you were playing with water. These are things that you can do to incorporate the spirit of Iemanjá in your dancing whenever you hear the Orixá Iemanjá. Another cool thing that you can do, you can brush your hair as if you were a mermaid. There are so many different things you can do just to incorporate Yamanja as an Orixá, as a dance within your style, within your dance. So if you're interested in Yamanja, there's lots of materials that you can access and find online on YouTube, articles, some in English, some in Portuguese, most in Portuguese, but I definitely recommend you to keep researching about Yamanja. She is amazing. She really is the cool girl in the Orixás, and everyone, she's the popular, everyone knows her. So jump in line, get on board, learn about Yamanja, because it's definitely worth it. Yeah, this purpose of this video was definitely to give you a short introduction about Yamanja. I really hope you enjoyed. Give a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, send this video to all of your Samba friends, because it's important for you to share information about these Orixás, about the Afro-Brazilian culture, which are so interconnected to our beautiful Samba world. So I'll see you next week with another video about a different Orixá, and I can't wait. See ya. Take care.